Life could be a dream if I could take you up in paradise.
Hello, it's Allison. I hope you're having a super happy day so far. So today I am so excited to share all my tips and experience and sharing my story of how I became a Disney intern. So this upcoming summer and fall, I will be a social media and communications intern at Disney for their corporate global talent acquisition team. So I'm super excited to step into that role. But I really wanted to film this video to kind of share the process and my experience with applying and just really provide any tips that could potentially help you in your process to making that dream come true. So I asked for your questions on Instagram and I wrote down just a few tips that I have. I really hope you find this video helpful and it helps you pursue your Disney career. Okay, so first off, I kind of just want to share my story and my experience working for the company. So when I was 17 years old, I auditioned to be a character performer in the parks and I got it. And ever since then, I have been a seasonal cast member character performer at Walt Disney World, and it has been such a light in my life. It has been so fun, and what it means to be seasonal is that you only have to work 150 hours per year. So I was hired at 17, so I was actually a minor. So they actually had to hire me as a seasonal performer because, I don't know, different minor laws and whatnot. But it really has been a huge blessing because working only 150 hours per year is really, really nice luxury, especially since I'm in college and, you know, it just has provided a lot of flexibility for me and I've been able to maintain it while I am in college and traveling and interning and all that good stuff. So that's a little bit how I got my start at Disney, and like I said, I've been with the company ever since. And the past few years I have applied to Disney internships because I really knew that was the next step I wanted to take in my career. I didn't apply for any real world jobs. I applied, even though Disney internships are really real world job, but I knew this is what my heart was wanting and what I really felt would be the smartest career move for me. So the past few months, starting in about December, maybe even November, I was checking the Disney careers site like crazy, and a lot of people asked me, how do you find these internships? It's really simple. All you have to do is type in Disney internships in your browser, disneyinterns.com, and you will see all of the listings that they have. But it's super important that you check this constantly because they are constantly adding new positions and new roles that might pique your interest and might be the perfect fit for you. One big tip I actually have is if you are, let's say, in high school even, or freshman or sophomore or junior, start looking at the career site if you really think this is something you're going to want to do, because you're able to see the full descriptions of the internships and you're going to be able to mark down what you think you should do to prepare for these jobs, because the competition's steep and you want to be able to have the qualifications they need and be able to set yourself apart. So if you plan ahead and start getting these other experiences that you can put on your resume that closely align with the job description, you're going to be a really, really awesome candidate. So I highly suggest doing that. But yeah, so you just go to disneyinterns.com, look at all the positions, and then see any ones that spark your interest. So that's exactly what I did. I went to disneyinterns.com, checked it every day, and started applying. I made sure my resume was solid. I had a cover letter too. I submitted a cover letter with almost every internship I applied to. It's not required though, and lots of interns actually who get hired don't submit a cover letter. So it's totally up to you and what you feel like is best. For a writing position, I would assume they would expect you to at least put in the effort to write a cover letter if you're going to be in a writing position, because I feel like that's kind of one and the same. So definitely do that. And some of the internships actually require you to submit a writing sample or a social media sample or other different portfolio samples, or they'll give you some kind of prompt that you have to do. So one thing that I really do suggest you doing is printing out the internship descriptions that you are hoping to get or hoping to apply to, or that you've already applied to. So for me, these are all the internship descriptions that I applied to. I applied personally to about 20 positions, I think a little bit less, maybe like 16 or 17 positions. So I definitely am thankful. So what I did actually is once I applied to a position, I copy and pasted the whole job description into a document, and then at the end, like when I started interviewing, I printed it all out so I would have it in front of me for my phone screens and initial interviews, because there is a chance that your recruiter will ask you about the position and ask you what stuck out about this position, why do you want to apply to it. So it really helps if you have just a more in-depth description of it, because they're not going to send it to you before your interview, and there's a good chance it might have been removed from the career site already. So that's actually a huge tip as well, is if you see an internship you like, apply to it as soon as you can. Like, don't rush it. Make sure you put in the effort and you're organized and you have all your ducks in a row and your application looks rock solid, but also don't take weeks or a month, because if it doesn't have a submit by deadline, they could remove the job any single day. And that's happened to multiple of my friends. They were looking at this position to apply to, sending me their resume and stuff to review and help them out, but then when they tried to apply, it was already gone. So you really want to be mindful of that and mindful of time, because as soon as they feel like they have enough qualified applicants, it's gone, because these people, the recruiters and the managers, they're trying to find people. They're trying to find interns as soon as they can, and they're honestly kind of in competition with each other as well, because once a qualified applicant gets taken, they can't have them as an intern anymore because they're already taken. So it kind of is a goose chase. Like, you really just have to be on top of it and proactive and just get it done as soon as you can. Put it on the top of your priority list if it is a top priority for you. So I definitely recommend you do that. And then of course, before the season of when you're applying even starts, try to solidify your resume as soon as you can, so it's already done and ready, so when the internships get posted, you're ready to apply automatically. So for me, I sat down with my friend who I just admire and think she's super professional and all that, and she's actually done a Disney internship before, which is awesome, and I sat down with her and we took lots of notes on my resume to really enhance it. And this helped me a lot, and I feel like it helped me just get my experience across much better. I'll show you an example. So last semester I interned at Universal Orlando Resort as a social media intern, and my original resume, the bad one, this is the bullet points I had underneath it. It said, curated social content for Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Pinterest, and YouTube, developed editorial calendars on weekly and monthly basis, supported social content brainstorms, channel management, and publishing. So that's what it had before, which is good. I mean, it's fine. I did all of that stuff, and it's pretty great, but then this is what I changed it to. Managed Instagram account with an audience of over 1 million, combined my photography and copywriting skills to curate social posts for Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Pinterest, developed editorial calendars and scheduled daily content through Sprinkler, collected user-generated content for social repost and market research utilizing Shoot. So the difference between these two descriptions is that my second one is super specific. I named my audience size that I managed. I named the software that I used. So it was really important for me to become more descriptive, and I feel like that really helped me stand apart, and it was a really good talking point in my interviews as well, because it wasn't just a basic description. I put numbers and I put software that they found very interesting, and Sprinkler is a social media software that Disney uses as well. So Universal and Disney use them, so that really helped me that I have that experience with that software already. So definitely try to enhance your resume as much as you can, of course. And if you are in college, many colleges have career resource centers, and I know the University of Florida has one, and they have mock interviews and they have resume critiquing. They have so many services for free, well, included in your education or tuition. So you might as well take advantage of that, and you never know what you'll learn from them. So I highly suggest doing that. So I just want to share a little bit about the ones I applied to, because some people might think, how many internships is too much to apply to, and how do you know which ones to go for? Like, how do you know which ones will be a good fit for you? And my response to that is, you'll know if the job description gets you excited. If I read an internship job description and I just was getting so excited and started daydreaming about me in that position, I knew that was a good one. I knew that is one that I should apply to for sure. So I just applied to all the marketing and communications and social media internships because I knew that's where my interests were. Specifically social media. I mean, my background is mainly in social media as well. So it was really important for me to apply to those. But personally, I don't think it's inappropriate at all to apply to as many internships as you think fit your qualifications. So for me, any internship in the communications field I feel capable of due to my experience in many different internships and my education. So really, if you feel confident in it and feel like you are a qualified candidate, you should do it. But I definitely didn't waste any time on internships that just sounded to me. I only applied to ones that I would be excited about, and I think you should do the same too. Don't apply to internships just to get an internship. Apply to internships because that's what you want to do, and that's your next step in your career. Okay, next, I feel like I'm talking so fast. I love talking about this. Next, I wanted to talk about the application experience, how long I waited, how many interviews I did, blah, 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 blah. So I applied to all these internships, and so many, and I applied like in the months of December, January, February, and I had my first phone screening on February 14th, Valentine's Day. I also had an exam that day. Awesome. So yeah, so that's when I had my first phone screening. And a phone screening is when a recruiter calls you and it's about a 15 to 20 minute phone call, and they just want to get to know you and make sure that you really are your resume, basically. They want to make sure you can talk about your experience confidently, and you can talk about the company confidently and yourself confidently. So this is just a preliminary interview just to make sure you're not cuckoo or anything like that. But I definitely prepared for this a lot. I wrote tons of notes, which I'm thankful for, because the phone screenings definitely shouldn't be downplayed, because it's make or break it if you're going to move on to the next step or not. So, but it was super important, and I took it really seriously. So I had that one. My first phone interview actually was for Disney Fairy Tale Weddings marketing intern. So I had that one, and then a week later or something, I had another phone interview for the position that I did accept. So both of those times I was in limbo for that, and then for the one that I did accept, I did have another video interview with two people who will be my managers, and so that was over Blue Jeans, which is kind of like Skype. It's the video interview software that Disney uses, and that's the week that my computer broke, actually, my laptop, because I spilled water on it. No fun. So I was freaking out. I was like, oh no, I can't do the video. I don't have a laptop. But it's totally fine. You can actually do the interview on your phone. Blue Jeans has an app, and you can video on your phone. I actually rented an iPad from my library at my school, because they have that, which is so cool. Go Gators. So I did it on my iPad just so I would have a bigger screen to work with and whatnot. So I did that. I thought that went well, but you know, you're never sure. You never know who else they're interviewing, and you just never know. So I just kind of crossed my fingers. And then the following week, I was going to Italy for spring break. So I went to Italy, having an amazing time this morning in Italy. Oh, by the way, when I found out that they wanted to do a video interview after my phone screening, I checked my email and I saw that they wanted to do a video interview, and then I also saw that I didn't get the other internship, the fairy tale wedding one. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, thankfully I saw that I had a video interview, so I was excited about that because that's the next step. But then I was like, oh, I didn't get that one. So it was kind of like, ouch, but also yay. So I'm glad I saw the email for the video interview first because I was just really excited about that. So yeah, okay, back to spring break. I was in Italy, and then I got an email that said, hey, we want to interview again for this position. Can you do a blue jeans interview within the next couple of days? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just, on the other side of the world. It's fine, but yeah, because of course I want to interview. And the time difference was crazy because my interviewer, she's in California. So I was in Italy, she was in California. So the time difference, pretty dramatic. So she was interviewing me 2 p.m. her time and like 11:30 p.m. in Italy. So I was just, in Italy having a video interview with her, and I thought it went really well. I felt awesome after it, which is really great because usually I don't feel that way after interviews. I just am always kind of second guessing myself and over-analyzing every little thing I said, but after that one I just felt really at ease about it and really good about it. So I just was thankful and then crossed my fingers, and then the next day I got a call that I got the position, which was so unreal and so happy. I started crying. I was so thankful. It really was such a big dream of mine to do this, and the fact that it came true was just really great, and I totally put in hours of work into it. So definitely a good feeling. So that was awesome as well because I feel like I found out really early on compared to a lot of other positions. So I was super thankful for that because it's just such a weight lifted off my shoulders to know what I'm doing after college. So that was such a big blessing. So yeah, that's kind of the process that I went through. So now I just kind of want to get into the Q&A that I asked on my Instagram. If you're not following me yet already, definitely check it out. I always ask for questions and stuff like that on there, so be a good way to connect. So let's see, I already answered a few of these. Oh, one question is, did you do the college program? And no, I did not do the college program. Since I have been a cast member since I was 17. I've already been a cast member, so I wasn't about to give that up to do the college program. But I feel like this should be comforting for some people because some people think it's such a big advantage to do the college program in order to get a professional internship. I actually thought that myself, so I was worried about that, but I really think there's people who have never worked at Disney, many people who have never worked at Disney and get a professional internship. They're really just looking for the most qualified candidate because at this point, for Disney interns, yeah, you're going to learn stuff. Yeah, they're going to teach you stuff, but also they don't want to teach you everything. They want someone who's talented and ready to do the job and has what it takes to do the job. So if you've never worked at Disney and you're still completely qualified, you're golden. Do I think it helps to have some experience with the company? Absolutely, because that's a talking point in your interview and you can really share your passion for the brand through that. But I feel like you can share that in other ways as well, So definitely not a deal breaker. And I never did the college program, like I said. I don't think it's necessary. So if you want to just hold out and do a professional internship, go for that. Okay, what are the qualifications to be considered for the job? So this definitely depends for every single posting, and usually the internship descriptions are pretty in-depth and give you lots of details of what they're looking for, so that's super helpful. And for my job, it was just important that I was familiar with the social media space, had experience in it, and could do a lot of content creation and planning and SEO and all that good stuff. So just look at the job that you're hoping to do, and you can plan ahead and start looking now even, because they might even have some posted stuff. So someone asked, what exactly is your major? So my major is telecommunication production, which is basically TV production, but we do a whole lot of other stuff. But everything is pretty transferable in the communications industry, I feel. So so even though my major is TV production, I am totally qualified to do social media because of my experience. Honestly, in all of the interviews that I've had this semester, no one has asked me about my degree. None. No one has asked me about school. They've only asked me about my past internships. So that goes to show you how important they are and what recruiters really want to see. Speaking of past internships, what were your past internships and did they help you? Absolutely, 100%. So I've interned at Feeding Children Everywhere as a communications intern, and this was a nonprofit. And then I interviewed at interned. Did you hear that? That was really loud. And then I interned at Gravitational Marketing, which is a advertising agency in Orlando. And then I interned at Universal with the social media department. Universal was definitely 100% my most beneficial internship by a lot. So definitely try to go for the big dogs for sure. Okay, do you have connections with leaders and did this help you? Very good question. So since I worked for Disney, you would think I would have like so many connections, but not really, unfortunately. Since I work hourly in the parks and entertainment, I really didn't know anyone on the social media team. So for my position, I didn't have any connections recommending me. I did have connections recommend me for other positions actually, but ironically, the position I accepted and got offered, I didn't have any connections who recommended me for that one. So that goes to show you like, yeah, networking and connections do help, but sometimes and a lot of the time you can get it without any connections at all. So don't let that stress you out. How important do you think GPA is to get an internship? So I honestly don't think it's super important. Most of the internships have a minimum GPA which you must have, so of course, like hopefully you have the minimum. But I was never asked about my GPA personally. I think I have it on my resume because I'm proud of it, but I don't think it's a deal breaker at all, and I don't think they'll even ask you about it as long as you have the minimum. And most internships require you to submit a transcript too, so definitely make sure your grades are solid and you're proud of them because it does show a lot of your work ethic and stuff. But I'm sure they're understanding too if you have a hard finance or economics class, like everyone understands. I'm in high school, about to go to college. What should I start doing to set myself apart from other applicants? You go, girl. That is so awesome. You're already ahead of the game because you're already asking questions like this and already desiring to get ahead of the game. So you go. But I would just recommend to start looking at the descriptions, like I said, of internships that your dream internships would be, and I would start making a list of all their requirements and see what you can do to get experience in that, and that'll really help set yourself apart. Okay, this other question is, what are some good follow-up questions for after an interview? This is a very good question. I'm trying to find my paper. Oh, here it is. Like my paper that I made before my interview. So some questions that I ask after an interview are, one question I like to ask is, how did you get your start with Disney? This is an awesome question just so you can kind of learn more about their career journey, because typically with Disney they've probably started in a position that's totally different from the position they're in now, which is kind of neat. And then I usually just ask if they have any critiques on my resume or anything that they wish I had more experience in. That way I can just kind of see what I can improve on. And then sometimes, and if they didn't already tell me, I always ask what are the next steps, when I can expect from hearing from you, and just all that kind of thing, because I don't like to not know. I want to know when I'll be able to hear from them. And then sometimes I ask for like podcast recommendations or book recommendations, just so I can see how they stay in the know in the industry, because I feel like you can get a lot of good tips from that as well. How much do they pay on average? So for Disney interns, I would say that on average I've heard you get paid at least above $16 an hour. So you do get paid hourly, and then of course you get admission to the parks and stuff. But typically it's above $16 an hour, but I think it depends on which department you work in and what their budget's like. How long is my internship for? I'll be interning for 6 months with the potential of extending for another 6 months. So possibly a year, but solidified 6 months. So the last question I had is, can people from overseas do internships? And honestly, I'm not quite sure of the answer, but my guess would be nothing is impossible, and you can make it happen if you really, really desire it. So I know there's the ICP, which is the International College Program, which is such an awesome opportunity for people overseas to move to Walt Disney World and work here. And I feel like through that you can make lots of connections and just get a lot more information about different programs they offer. But you can always email Walt Disney World Recruiting to ask that, and I will definitely try to get my hands on the answer of that as well. And if anyone knows the answer to this, please comment it below so we can just help each other out to find that answer. But I think anything is possible. If you can dream it, you can do it. So even if you live across the world, keep chasing your dreams, and I think you can make it happen for sure. So that's all I have for you. I really hope this video helped you kind of answer any questions you might be having about the internship process or anything, or getting your feet wet with a career at Disney. Again, I'm really thankful for your encouragement through this whole process and just cheering me on. It really does mean a lot to me and makes a difference in my life. So thank you, and I will definitely keep encouraging you as you pursue your dreams. Thanks for watching, guys.
If you
Bye.
tell me I'm the only one that you know, life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello.